Today we're talking about sherry. In fact, we're talking about Hartley & Gibson's Amontillado Sherry, and it's marketed as a choice medium dry sherry. Alright, so sherry's kind of a misunderstood subject these days. A lot of people, when they think about sherry, they think about their grandmother, somebody old, somebody from England. And it's just not a very cool wine anymore. In fact, it's pretty hard to find in the stores as well. You can find a lot of cheap bulk stuff, which I'm assuming is used predominantly for cooking, I hope. Anyway, because it's not very good for drinking. So anyway, I went out and sourced this from Bevmo actually, and it's I guess it was around $10 or $12, and you can see that it is pretty brown, although still quite clear and brown. And if we give it a smell, it has that unmistakable sherry yeasty, like fresh yeasty flavor. So the story behind Amontillado, in a nutshell, is basically there are two key types of sherry. There are the white, fresh style sherries, the finos, and then there are the darker olorosos. Now the key difference, I guess, is one kind is fortified. That is to say that it gets alcohol added to it to around 15%, and it still allows this yeast, which is known as floor, to grow on the top of it. And this floor preserves it and also feeds off some of the contents of the wine, while the sherry is sitting in the Sommelier system, which is a system of barrels, interconnected barrels for aging sherry. So there's the Fino style, this fresher style with the yeast on top of it, adding the yeasty flavor to it. And then there's the Oloroso style, gets fortified to closer to 18 to 20% alcohol. It doesn't get the floor, it doesn't get that yeasty flavor. It goes off in a completely different direction, but still in the Sommelier system. So you ask, where does Amontillado fit in? Well, that's somewhere in between. Basically, it's a Fino sherry for a little while in its life, and it gets that nutty flavor. And then, for another, say, 3 years, it also gets fortified to a higher level. The floor is killed, and it takes on more of an Oloroso character, sort of a richer, more caramelly flavor, higher alcohol. So it's like a cross. So you're getting the best of both worlds in some ways. So you do get that yeasty character, but you're also getting some richness as well, some kind of raisiny, caramelly flavors that you wouldn't see in a Fino, a white, fresh style. Now I've had this open for maybe 2 months now. It's been in the fridge. I've used it for cooking a couple of times. It's great, by the way, for cooking. I added it to a couple of pasta, to the onions, while cooking the onions with bacon and mushrooms. And it sort of rounds out the flavor, gives it this nice undertone. And it's still holding up really well. Not quite as fresh as the day it was open, but still totally drinkable. Nice and fresh and yeasty. Some of that higher alcohol is preserving it a little bit, and the I guess some of the sugar as well, because this is kind of a commercial style of Amontillado, not a true Amontillado. Now I'm getting kind of bogged down in technicalities here, but a lot of the ones you'll see on the market have added sweetness. usually from grape juice, sweetened, raisined grape juice. And this is not over the top with its sweetness, though. It's just enough to still make it with a nice dry finish. Pretty tasty, actually. I would recommend getting your hands on this Amontillado. If this one's great, if you can find a true one, the drier style, you'll be lucky. Here on the west coast of California, maybe from some of the more higher end liquor stores, bottle shops, whatever you call them. But definitely worth seeking out, and also try for the Fino and the Oloroso style. See if you can get them as a comparison. The thing with the Fino is, and we may cover this in a later episode, is Fino should be drunk fresh. Traditionally, when it comes into England from Spain, which is where most of it's consumed, if not in Spain itself, it really should be fresh. So if you open a Fino sherry, drink it immediately. Well, like a bottle of wine, within a day or so. But this guy is lasting, again, because it's that cross between the higher fortified, richer style and the Fino style, and that's Amontillado. Thank you very much for listening to me, and join me again for another episode. Cheers.